Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Might Need This Later, a gamer's podcast. My name's Joe, and with me, as always, are two of my best friends. One of them, a guy way cooler than any childhood secret handshake, and the other, a former child actor from fake movies such as Uh-Oh, I Just Shot My Teammate, and Mom, I Can't Pause This Game. It's Jesse and Connor. Say what's up, guys.
Yo,
What's up? Connor here.
and Jesse here, and I still don't know which one I am.
Right? I still they're
I
both I
think
feel like they're both compliments and I like it.
I think Connor's the teammate shooter. I feel like he would shoot teammates more often than me.
So you think that you're cooler than any childhood secret handshake of all
I got
time?
called cool like 3 times today. All right,
Oh,
it was
okay.
it was by the same person all 3 times, but this is a very respectable human being.
Okay. I mean, if you got called cool 3 times, so that's 3 more times than I've been called. I mean, it has to
Exactly,
be has to
and
be
it's
true
the
at this point.
it's the Beetlejuice effect.
It's the
Yeah.
Beetlejuice
Right.
effect. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Well, we have another awesome episode lined up. We're going to tackle the question of who our favorite video game villains are. It doesn't specifically have to be the most powerful or the smartest or any other particular attribute or metric. These are going to be the villains that have struck a chord with us, making them unforgettable in our eyes. But first, let's jump into our question of the week. What do you got for us, Jess?
All right, so something I always talk about, something I've been thinking about as I get a little older. There's just some games that I enjoy watching, either on Twitch or YouTube, a little more than playing, or sometimes a lot more. So, what is a video game that you enjoy watching more than you enjoy actually playing?
All right, Connor, I'm gonna let you go first.
Ooh, okay. I honestly I don't watch I'm just busy a lot, so I don't honestly watch a lot of stuff on Twitch or anything anymore. I used to. But what I would say the last things that I used to watch on Twitch that like would blow my mind and it was before I was good at the game myself was Fortnite. Just watching like the professionals be able to edit at a million miles an hour just broke my brain. And I loved being able to, it just was so, I was always in awe of watching them do it, and I just love it.
So, you said before you were good.
I'm good now.
So,
Now
Oh, you're good now.
I'm good
oh,
now. I can't edit
So
like pros.
you've uninstalled?
Yeah, because my
Okay, good.
my hard drive crashed, remember, so it uninstalled itself.
There you go. Hey, that's all it takes sometimes. You finally
I,
retired from Fortnite by crashing your computer.
By
I
force.
think that anyone that can just make wall ramp is like, you know,
Wall ramp. They're
yeah,
all
wall
too
ramp.
good.
They're just better than me
Too
at
good.
that point. Too good at that point. I can't play with them.
Joe's meet me in the long barn strategy died out in 2016.
Yeah, there's no long barn anymore, from what I understand,
I
and it
didn't
makes me
know.
very upset.
Yeah, it's just not what the game used to be.
So for mine, ever since the Netflix show The Queen's Gambit came out, I've been kind of getting back into chess, more so watching than playing, because every time that I try playing, I just have this like weird anxiety that I can't explain. Like I know a pretty decent amount about chess, like I understand like basic game theory, and like when I look at a board, I actually know what I'm looking at, and I understand like planning your moves ahead and trading and traps and all the things like that. But when I'm actually like in a ranked match, I just like look at the board and then everything just like looks like gibberish and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I started watching Twitch streams and YouTube videos, and it's been a much more enjoyable experience than actually attempting to play. So
Joe's
chess,
like, Joe's like, I'm 3 steps ahead of you. They're like, all right, well, where are we? I've lost.
I don't know. We're in Wisconsin.
three steps from now, I lose.
I feel like
All
Joe would
right.
be that person like as the opponent goes to move their piece, he's just like, I wouldn't do that. They put it down, go to grab another piece. I wouldn't do that either.
Yeah, I'm just doing the
Yeah.
They're about to put him in checkmate, and Joe's like, I wouldn't do that. They're like,
I wouldn't do that if I were you,
are you
because I
sure?
might flip the table.
Are you sure? Nice answer, Joe. Very unexpected. Nice answer.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. So mine, I actually have a few. The one I'll say that I feel like I watch the most, in relation to how much I play is EFT Escape from Tarkov. Fantastic game. It's just like aggressively hard. Like if you're not very good at shooters and that game, it's full blown struggle bus. You're like in the back and there's no driver. It's the full blown struggle bus. It's just so hard. You just keep dying, losing everything, and it is truly a struggle. And then you watch like a player like Landmark or Pestily or Trout or whoever, and you're just like, wow, they just killed an entire team by themselves. Oh, they just stole more stuff. They just took more gear out of that raid than I have in my entire inventory. That's cool. I guess. And it's awesome to watch. I think it's awesome to watch any game at its top level. That's why I enjoy watching League more than I'll enjoy playing it. And the same thing with like a few other games. I just enjoy watching games played at its utmost top level. Like you were talking about, Joe, with chess. Like
Yeah.
watching somebody who's just like insanely good at chess, you're just like, wow. They wow, didn't even see that, didn't think of that, etc.
Yeah, so just to kind of piggyback on your EFT stuff, like I've watched you play EFT before,
Oh god.
and the only comment that I have for you is like I didn't know if you were actually playing a game because you were just laying in the grass for what felt like 30 minutes straight.
Not even that's actually the most false.
That's not.
No, because if there's anything I'm not, it's a camper. Like, no way. I may take things slow, but a lot of times I'm just like, I'll run in and just die. And I'm like, all right, cool. And
Yeah,
then I'll,
you like take it slow, just like slow crawling through the grass, and then after a while you just get impatient. You're like, all right, let's just go die.
yeah, but okay, well,
I
that's
could
not camp. Like trying to be
I
cautious.
wasn't trying to say you were camping.
No, I was like, if there's one thing I'm not, I'm not a camper. I die a lot. No, there's a lot of dying going on. My brother, we started a raid, and he's like, "Is that a pistol?" I'm like, "I'm running out of guns. Leave me alone."
The game is ridiculous. I don't know how you guys
It
played
is.
it for so long.
It is a lot of fun. It's just but like I said, it's definitely one of those games I enjoy watching that more.
I thought,
Couldn't agree more.
and I think you just bring up valid points of like games in general when they're played at their top level, like that top tier. It's almost like it's a completely different game.
Yeah. I actually, what's funny? I was talking about this with a friend, not a, well, yeah, like a coworker, and I was like, oh yeah, like some blah 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 on Twitch, and he's like, what's Twitch? And I'm like, oh, I gotta explain what Twitch is. So I explain it to him, and then he makes the statement that everybody makes when they don't know what Twitch is, which is like, you watch other people play video games, and I'm like, yes, and they're like, how is that such a weird thing to you? And they're like, you're just watching other people play video games. I'm like, yeah. Do you watch sports?
Football?
They're like, yeah. They're like, yeah. I'm like, so
You're like, why don't you
what's
just
the
go play football then?
yeah? What is
Why
it?
watch
I
it?
don't understand.
Show me.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so it's like funny having that conversation with somebody who just didn't understand. But like we just, I could sit around and watch a Twitch stream and just enjoy it. And sometimes it's the same thing like watching a sport, playing a sport. Sometimes even when we were younger, you'd prefer just to relax.
Hmm.
And I don't care what percentage of us would get to the NFL.
Less
Zero.
than 1%.
Exactly. It's the same percentage of us that would become Shroud.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'd do anything to become Shroud.
That's
He's a human. He's a
you should go
human.
let him know.
He's a
Go let
human
him know on
aimbot.
Twitter.
He's a freaking human. He's unreal.
Well, thanks, Jess, so much for that question. I appreciate it. So, if you listeners want to let us know what your game is that you prefer to watch rather than play, let us know on any of our social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at I Might Need This Later AGP, on Twitter at IMNTL_podcast, or by email, which is I Might Need This Later AGP@gmail.com. Now, before we get into our draft question this week, we have a fun new segment that Jesse's going to bring to you. Or actually, we're all going to bring to you, but this week it's going to be Jesse. It's called, I think the name's still pending, but right now we're going to call it Doo-Doo Game Reviews.
I still like reviews from the toilet.
Okay,
Ooh.
reviews from the toilet. That one's pretty good.
Game reviews from the toilet.
Game reviews from the toilet. So what we're going to do is we're going to share funny stories about really terrible games we've played recently. So without further ado, take it away, Jess.
You know what's funny? I knew you were gonna say without further ado. I don't know why. I just knew it was coming.
I mean, it kind of just fit there. It has to be done.
That's true. All right. So I'm gonna take you all back in time to a beautiful year, 2013. Joe and I hadn't hit our 30s yet. It was a good year. I still don't want to talk about it. And the Daisy Origins mod for Arma 2 was doing well. It was killing it. And then for so long they were talking about a standalone, the Daisy standalone. I'm sure everybody remembers that time when they talked about it, and the release date was, I don't know, so long. It was like going to be 6 months from now and a year from now. But finally in 2013, the Daisy standalone came out, and every one of us bought it. I'm sure every one of us bought it. You guys bought it, right?
I refunded it, but yes.
Okay, there you go. We all bought it because it was so hype because Daisy Origins was, or the Daisy Armor mod was absolutely something completely new, completely different, and just so much fun and so addicting. Oh my, it was addicting. So the Daisy standalone came out. It was going to be different. It was going to be awesome. It was going to be new graphics. It was going to be better vehicles. It was going to be better gameplay, and it was not.
Better AI.
It was not in the slight. Yeah, the zombies wouldn't teleport through walls and be awkward in buildings. But unfortunately, it was none of those things. And so, as Joe said, he refunded it, or I just didn't play it anymore. But recently, a friend was like, "Yeah, they did all these patches. They're so much better." And so, me and my brother set out on an adventure. DayZ standalone part 2.
Part
And
two.
we re-downloaded it. And so right away, as every DayZ experience starts, you got to find each other, which is always fun because it goes something like this. Hey, where are you? I don't know. I got the shore on my right and the sun's on my right, and there's buildings on my left. Okay, great description. That's everywhere ever in the game. So they're like, all right, just run along the coast. You run along the coast. Eventually, we'll figure it out. Now, at this point, my brother had played a bunch, and he had gathered up a bunch of food and a bunch of guns and stuff. He's like, I'll meet up with you. I got a gun for you. We'll figure it out. We'll get a base going. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, it was not, because I ran everywhere, starving right away. I feel like I was immediately starving. So I run to one building, get a can of beans. All right, life's good. I remember playing Daisy Origins, get a can of beans. It'll last you 5-6 hours game time. It'll be all right. No, that can of beans lasted me from one building to the next building. I was then starving again. Awesome. Now, mind you, Alex, my brother, has collected about 25 tomatoes, and he's running towards me while just shoving tomatoes in his face. He gets close to me. We know where each other are. We find the signs. We're there. We're like, cool. Problem. He's run out of tomatoes.
There are
It's
no
gonna
more
be a bad day.
tomatoes.
There are no more tomatoes. He doesn't even see me. He dies. How did he die? Starvation, of course.
After 25 tomatoes, he still died of starvation.
He's starved.
The idea that somebody eats 25 tomatoes in one, not even a day. This was a 8 to 10 hour period in the game where you ate 25 tomatoes. I don't know about you. How many tomatoes do you guys think you could put down in a full? And it'll say 24 hours. How many tomatoes could you put down?
I only want to do 4. Even if I was starving, I'd probably 4 max.
Literally 4 or 5, maybe.
I'm thinking 3 or 4. Yeah, he ate 25 and starved to death.
And
So, but
and
by
I
the way, the most hilarious image that I have in my head is just your brother running down the coastline, just shoving tomatoes
Shoving
into his
tomatoes
face, and
in his
yeah,
face.
they're just smashing into his face. They're not even
Yeah.
eating them; they're just smashing them into his face, and that's why he's starving because he didn't
And then
actually get them in his mouth.
tomato seeds everywhere. It's
Yeah,
just a
he's got juice
disaster.
running everywhere.
and to me it's just
And so,
it's crazy that like he like the way he starved to death. And, like you just got done
yeah,
eating and you starved.
yeah, awesome, right? So we respawn and we're like, all right, where are you? All right, sun on my right side, buildings. So we start running again, and we got to that moment where like, wait, is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Do the wiggle, 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 wiggle. Ah, that is you. How did we do this? Where are we? I have no idea. Okay, let's run back to where the body is. We get all the way back to the body. I get a gun now. Okay, cool. We're gonna play some sweet Daisy action. What do we do now? Well, we build a base. Okay. All right, let's run into the woods. We run into the woods. We build a base. It's the most awesome. No, it's not. It was terrible. It was infinitely worse than Daisy Origins. If anybody played Daisy Origins, the base building in that game was absolutely insane. You could literally build a base that only you could get into. It could have like a little top part that opened up like a circular thing so you could land your heli on it and then close it on top of the heli. It was like the base building and the storage system, that whole game was insane. Plus, like, Daisy Origins had other things that Daisy doesn't. So yeah, and then the glitches were awesome. There was a point where I go to stoke the fire and my arm glitches out. So my left arm is way longer than my right arm, and it looks like that to both of us. So I'm like holding a stick with like the middle of my elbow on one arm and my hand on the other. I don't even know what's happening. And the best part about the story is we are dying laughing the entire time because it's just so bad. It's just so bad. We're dying laughing. So if I could tell you anything, don't play the DayZ standalone, please, unless you want to laugh your butt off at the misery that is playing that game.
So for how long did you and your brother play it for? Like how many hours?
So he played for like 2 or 3 before I jumped on, and then I think we played for another 3 or 3-ish maybe.
So
I
in
think
those 3 hours, how many times did you starve to death?
only I starved to death once, he starved to death once. But literally there was a point when we got to we had to stop at every town on our way to everywhere to raid for food every single place. And like if we didn't have like 10 cans of food to run between towns, we were like starving.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I ate in that one session, I think we ate a combined like 75 tomatoes. It was a tomato genocide.
It was
Yeah,
a
you guys
tomato
are killing the economy on tomatoes.
Yeah, well, somebody has to, I
Someone's
guess.
got to do
Yeah,
it.
right. Well, I guess moral of the story is tomatoes don't fill you up and DayZ sucks.
I wanted to re-download and play the DayZ Origins again. I was like, let me remember what this game once could have been.
Let me know when you do that. I will.
See what I'm saying? That game was so good.
I agree. All right, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
All right. So here it is. We're going to discuss our favorite video game villains of all time. So again, these aren't the ones that we think are the most powerful, although it might be. These aren't the ones that are the smartest or whatever attribute or metric you want to go with. These are just our 4 favorite ones that we have personally encountered in our gaming lifetime. And narrowing this down to 4 was pretty hard as it was. Because there's so many that I want to talk about, because there's so many great villains throughout the history of gaming. But let's get on with it. So the order for this week is as follows. Jesse has the first pick, Connor's going to go second, and I will be the last pick. So, Jess, start us off.
All right, perfect that I get the first pick because it is super relevant to the situation. My first pick, I'm going to pick the mayor from DayZ Origins. Funny, if you played DayZ Origins, you remember the mayor. Well, you might remember the mayor. I don't know, but nonetheless, DayZ Origins not only have the cool building system, but it also had essentially a boss. It had this island called Sector B. It was the whole the quick lore was like this guy, the mayor. He went to this island, built a wall around it, got a bunch of guards. He knew the zombie apocalypse was coming or something, so he set up a perimeter so that he and his people are safe. So that's the ordeal. And to get to Sector B was a fiasco. So to get to this island, you had to fly with the helicopter. You had to fly really low, close to the water, because you were going to get shot at by like Gatling guns or something. I'm not exactly sure what they were. You had to fly close to the water and then land and then get out. And if anybody died in this scenario, you had to get the one person to fly the heli back to the base, pick them up, get new guns, fly all the way back, etc. And it was tough. It was a tough situation. It usually took a while. You had to, you're scoping out everything. You're making sure you got to kill the guys on the outside of the wall. You got to pick off the guys that are staring at the holes in the wall to get into it, and blah 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 blah. It was a whole process. It was very time consuming, but it was so much fun because it was a cooperative, adventure that I had not really experienced before that. And it was very challenging and very rewarding. If you killed everybody, beat the mayor, etc., you got so much sweet loot. And I still remember the first time us as a crew was like me, Joe, a few of our other guys. We defeated in the entirety of Sec B and the mayor on our own.
Yeah,
And
it was not easy.
yeah, but it was just so fulfilling. Like one of the things in gaming that I will never forget is completing that. And I still remember one of the funniest moments in my gaming career is when you beat it, like you can there's a 747 plane there. And I think one time Dennis wasn't there, and so the 747 was hard to fly, so I brought gasoline and gassed it up and flew it back and landed it on our base essentially. And I remember him coming out of his house when he logged on. He was like, "What the heck?" It's like just a 747 outside of his door. But yeah, for my first pick, I'm gonna go with the mayor from DayZ Origins.
I like it. I
Awesome.
like it. Good pick.
I love those Daisy moments. All right,
Yeah,
Connor, what do you got?
All right, so for my first pick, like you said at the beginning, these sometimes it's not always going to be the most powerful boss, things like that, and sometimes it's just moments that happen that kind of. So for me, one of the best quote unquote villains is going to be your friends when you're playing Mario Kart, because there's nothing, there's nothing that's like kind of like I don't know when you're in last place, you get a blue shell and your friend is in first place, and just being like, haha, I'll let me know how you feel in about 15 seconds, and they're like, wait, what? Oh no, and those moments, and it's always changing, and I love that the diversity that Mario Kart just brings to the table with that.
and you clearly have never played Mario Party
Yep, because
because Mario Party, your friends are your worst enemies.
yeah,
Really,
and that game ends friendships like very quickly. It ends friendships.
is it like the equivalent of like Monopoly ending friendships?
Might be
Uh,
worse
Oh
it might
dang!
be worse.
Oh
because
dang!
there's a mechanic to steal. Like you win the game by having the most stars, and there's a mechanic to steal stars. So like if I'm just in last place, I could just steal Joe's star to make sure he doesn't win. It's so backstabby.
Like I could be in second place and I'm like fighting for the lead, and then Jesse just comes over and steals my star. I'm not even in first place, but he wants to steal my star because he wants to just screw me over, like the person he is.
And no joke, Mario Party ended one of my brother's relationships.
Oh my
Like
god!
we were playing a game of Mario Party, and the girl he was dating stole a star from him, and I ended up winning because of this steal. And that was the end of her. I never saw her again. Never forget.
Oh, that's so funny, Jesus.
So your
Yeah,
friends are the
But yeah,
worst villains.
so maybe if I would have played that one, that would have been my pick. But just sticking with that
Whoa.
theme though is,
yeah.
I
It's
love,
it's the same thing in Mario Kart, though. I agree.
getting hit by your friend's blue shell, or when they turn into the bullet and you get knocked off that map, or you know what I mean. Something happens to where you hit a banana right before a jump and you fall off. I don't know.
It's the worst in Mario Kart is when you're playing with with four people, and you and another person are in like third and fourth place, and you're just red shelling each other over and over again. It's just so frustrating because the
Then
people in
you're in
first
fourth
and
and
second are
fifth.
just so far ahead.
Then
Right?
you're in fifth and sixth.
You're like,
Yeah, and then you're just progressively going worse and worse and worse, and just fighting it out one on one. And meanwhile, the rest of your friends are just zooming along. It's like
Mm.
it's not even fun at that point.
see, I love that. And that's why, to me, it's one of the best villains.
I
Your
agree.
All
Your
right.
friends. All
All
right,
right, Joe, your
so
pick.
my pick.
Pick,
So
sir.
for my first pick, I'm gonna go with Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. He's the main antagonist slash final boss. So just to give you a little bit of his backstory and to kind of paint the landscape of how sociopathic and maniacal this guy is. So Kefka was like the court magician of the Gestalian Empire, who were like the main bad guys of that particular world. And he was the very first experimental Magitech Knight. They don't go into explicit detail of what the experiment is, but for what I can gather from reading and context clues that it was like brain surgery, and they infused the brain with Magitech to give the person augmented powers and the ability to use magic. So we see later on in the game that they perfected this procedure with Celis, who's one of the protagonists in the game. But so Kefka has his brain surgery, and it goes horribly wrong. Not in the sense that it doesn't work. It does. Like he gets infused with the magic and becomes more powerful, but it just drives him insane and turns him into this sociopathic agent of death and destruction. With the only goal that he has is that he just wants to destroy the entire world and rule over the ashes. That's what he wants to do. And like just to give you a couple of examples of his psychotic behavior, he kidnaps Tara, who's one of the main protagonists that you find, uses a slave crown on her to control her thoughts and actions, and makes her just roast people with fire, like everywhere, just
Uh,
killing
I thought she
senselessly.
was just gonna roast people with jokes.
Yeah, she roasts them with jokes too.
That would be awesome.
Then, when they're sieging Doma Castle, the battle's already won. Like they're about to take the castle, and there's no reason to continue the fighting. He dumps poison into their water supply just to kill the rest of the citizens. Like just maniacal things that he does. Not to mention all the other ridiculous stuff that he does with the espers and the magicite and he like commits like 3 different genocides in the game. So then he ultimately does succeed in his goal by nearly destroying the world. He like kind of like rips the continents in half and destroys most of the towns. And then in the post-apocalyptic world, excuse me, he constructs this tower that he lives at the top of, and the remaining citizens have to live in fear that he's going to destroy their villages by just engulfing them in light. That's what he does. He just engulfs them in light, and then boom, they disappear. So like the guy was just evil for the sake of being evil and just terrifying. So that's why he's
So
the first guy on my list.
so he's Thanos?
No, Thanos wanted to achieve balance.
Not later on.
Well, yeah, not later on, but for the
He
most
did.
part, Thanos.
He did commit a lot of genocide.
That's a debate for another time. But yes, sort of, maybe, depending on what part of the timeline we're in. Yes. And then for my second pick, since I'm on the wheel, is I'm gonna go with Edgar Ross from Red Dead Redemption.
Ooh, good pick.
Yeah. So this guy is just a piece of garbage, plain and simple. He's just a piece of garbage. And he makes my list because of how much he sickens me, and because of the immense heartache that he gave me at the end of the game. So he's the law enforcement, I don't know, U.S. Marshal guy or whatever he is, and that guy who's supposed to be a cop, good guy, kidnaps John Marston's wife and kid, and then has John hunt down his former companions from the gang that he was in, with an agreement that, all right, if you hunt down all your old friends and kill them, I'll give you your wife and kid back.
It's messed up.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's rough.
So
That's so.
you
Although
go.
Although I'd kill you too, Joe. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean, if my wife and kid that I don't have were kidnapped, and that was the only way to get them back, I'm sorry. I'm coming to your house and we're gonna duke it out. So John Marston like fights his way, murdering all across the Blackwater, trying to reunite his family, which he eventually gets to do. So he goes home to his ranch, reunites with his family. Everything seems to be perfectly peaceful, and that they're gonna live happily ever after. Wrong. Here comes Edgar Ross with the army and the rest of the U.S. Marshals. They just launch this all-out attack on the ranch. So John gets his wife and kid out of there and dies horrifically by firing squad in front of his own barn. After you've just gone through this entire game, like, just very emotionally attached to his character and his family. Like,
So backstabby, jeez.
yeah, it's
I
very.
was gonna say I know why you love this character, Joe. Because
Why?
he dies by the long bar.
Yeah, he dies in front of the long barn, where I've died many times.
Run back to.
Yeah. So he gets his wife and son safely out of there, dies unfortunately, and then there is some bittersweet to this, I guess, because in the epilogue of the game after you finish, you get to play as John's son Jack, and you go hunt down Edgar Ross and you shoot him in his dumb head.
Ooh.
So you get to do that at least. And it's like a really cool moment because like you go into like Deadeye mode in like in a duel, and you could, if you time it right, you could literally just put 6 shots in the guy's face. It's awesome.
That's the only way to do it after somebody kills your family.
Yeah, after you go through hours and hours and hours of playing this game only to get murdered at the end of it, like I'm gonna kill you. I'm coming for you.
All 6 shots in your dumb head.
In you dumb head. So that's why Ross makes my list, just because of how much emotion he invokes from me. Like it was that almost traumatizing. I was so mad.
Joe, do you need some counseling?
I might. I'm
All
gonna
right, I got you.
make a telehealth appointment later.
I'll make a
All right.
telehealth appointment.
Good call. You don't want to have to deal with the in-person stuff.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that. All right.
All right, Connor.
So for my second pick, I'm gonna go with another classic. Everyone knows him, everyone loves him. Ya boy Bowser. Like he's such an iconic villain to me. I mean, honestly, he's not the worst villain out there. You know what I mean? There's obviously much darker villains, but for me, I love Bowser just because he's super sarcastic in like his like text lines, like the conversations, the dialogues. He's super sarcastic and it's hilarious. And also just his persistence of how many times he has kidnapped Princess Peach and just like, nope, I'm gonna hide her in one of my 100 castles and you just have to find her, Mario. Like, just his persistence to me is what makes him a great bad guy.
I think the best thing about Bowser is when he had to be a quote unquote good guy for a
Uh-huh.
second. He was still a villain,
Yep.
but another evil being came and stole his castle, and he was not happy about it.
The
And he
enemy.
Yeah, he
probably
had
never
to.
played that game.
Yeah, he had to team up with Mario, and he hated it. Like he did
Yep.
it reluctantly, but he hated it.
And so, and
And can we just talk for a moment about the the security in the Mushroom Kingdom? Like, can we get some like proper guards to keep her from getting kidnapped all the time?
Yeah, wouldn't you think Mario should just stand guard instead of going to get her every time?
Yeah, he
Just
doesn't
like
need to go
defeat her.
back to he doesn't need to go back to wherever he lives in the regular world to go do plumbing stuff. Just live in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah,
You're a
Peach,
celebrity there.
him and Peach are far enough into their relationship. I think they can move in together.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
right,
you could save on rent too.
right. I mean, I feel like at least Peach owns everything. Would be my guess. Maybe she has a mortgage. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wonder what the mortgage on a castle
On
in
a
the Mushroom
castle.
Kingdom is.
Oh, it's funny. All right, Jesse.
Bowser,
What's your
cool.
pick, Jesse?
All
Next
right,
one.
so I'm gonna wheel two. My first pick is gonna be RNG. Y'all know it. Y'all hate it. Y'all hate it so much. So anybody that doesn't know RNG, random number generator, it's just in most games or a lot of games, there's something that happens at random. So for instance, maybe in an RPG where you kill the monster and it has a 10% chance to drop a specific item. Like, all right, I'll just kill him 10 times and law of averages, I will get this item. And then by the 58th time you've killed this monster, you're like, what does my life come to? I haven't slept in 3 days. Or like Pokemon, for instance, since Joe and I have been playing a lot of Pokemon, there's a 10% chance that one Pokemon shows up and you sweet scent, which shows a Pokemon, instant Pokemon battle, and you sweet scent and you sweet scent. And like 15 minutes later, you're like, what is happening? How many sweet scents was that? Was it 68 sweet scents? Why have I seen 65 Staryus? What's going on?
Just
But
turns to
every
this.
game is like that.
It just turns to the
And then
SpongeBob meme like 4 hours later.
It's
Pr-
it does
Pretty
feel
much.
like that sometimes. And then you have other games like the Gacha MOBA, not the like Genshin Impact and the game I play Summoners War where it's like there is a percentage to get something good and you just never get there. You're like, it's been a year since I've got something good. You're like, wow. And then you see some level 3 player just like, oh, I have all the best gear in the game. What happened? Oh, I don't know. I just opened this here thing and I got it. And you're like, I hate you so much.
Have either of you played XCOM before?
And I've watched it on Twitch.
Okay,
I have not.
so so basically, what XCOM is, it's kind of like a strategy slash tactical RPG where you kind of move around a map and you're shooting aliens. In the sense of like it's almost like Final Fantasy Tactics, but with guns and aliens. Now, in that game, it's become a meme to where you have a 99% chance to hit and you miss. It's
Oh yeah,
become a meme at this point. Like it
yeah.
happens way more often than it has any business missing.
I think the most frustrating thing I've forgotten when it comes to Pokemon, if you get hit with the Thunderbolt,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
there's a 10% chance that you're getting paralyzed. It happens every time. Now I know a
Single
lot of
second.
this. I know a lot of this is biased, but still, I feel like it happens every time. I hate RNG. RNG is the
Me
big.
too, buddy.
It's the worst.
Oh, okay, and for my third pick, I'm gonna go with since I'm talking about Pokemon, I'm gonna go with the Rival. Now, he has a different name in every game. I think he's like Blue in Pokemon Red and Blue, and Gen 2, I think he's Silver, and Gen 3, and so on. I don't remember any of the names, but I love the Rival. They are the quote unquote villain, but they just don't care. And they talk smack the entire time. Like you will just be bashing their heads in. Their Pokemon stand no chance. And you're sweeping them with one guy, and they're just like, so your Pokemon are all so weak, and so are you, and you smell like farts. And you're like, what the heck, man? I just destroyed you, and you stole that Pokemon from Professor Oak. And I just who are you anyway? And they're like, my name is Silver, and you're like, oh, that's not even a real name. Get out of here. And he just the whole time he's just talking smack about you, your Pokemon, and his Pokemon. Oak, anybody that walks past him doesn't care. He doesn't care. It's awesome. The best thing is like we play the randomized version, so he could just be talking smack and they'd be like, go Magikarp, and you're like, yeah, good,
Okay, buddy.
good. So my third pick, I'm going with the rival because he is also relentless, but his smack talk I think is the best of them all.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
I give it up to somebody who can talk so much smack while just absolutely getting dumpstered.
Right, just getting beaten
It
over
literally
and
6
over.
0'd every time.
Yeah, he's literally like, it's like, I've never done damage to any of your Pokemon, but you're still the worst Pokemon trainer in the history of this game.
Got to give him. He has spirit, you know. He tries.
Ugh.
All right. So for my next pick, I just got done playing Fallen Order or Jedi Fallen Order, and my boy Darth Vader. And so it's not even just in that game. It's I feel like in every Star Wars game that Vader is in, like he is just so amazing and so just his presence is just so like oh man, he's here. He's large and in charge. And so Vader to me is just such an iconic character, and he's been in multiple games in The Force Unleashed and in Jedi Last Order, whatever whatever it's called, and he is just
I
to
believe
me,
it's in Battlegrounds too, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
because he's like a special character, right?
Did
That
you
you can
play
unlock.
Star Wars Connor's Dream Game, where you play as Darth Vader and you just go around slaying younglings?
They should make a VR game of that because I would be the first in line. Young, holding and it comes with it should come with Luke's saber, formerly known as the Youngling Slayer 9000.
Yes.
So for that's gonna
Yeah,
be my next pick because
yeah.
Vader's the
Vader's
man.
just terrifying in every game. I remember I saw a Reddit post where somebody was doing in the newer Star Wars Battlegrounds game, where they did like side by side comparisons of character speeds. Now Vader is supposed to be the slowest character in the game because like he's supposed to be super powerful but super slow. And when compared to like the potentially supposedly fast classes, is if he's doing this certain dash move, he's the fastest character in the game and the most powerful one at the
Right.
same time.
It's not even
It's
fair.
ridiculous. It's not fair.
And that's why you
Nerf
love him.
Vader.
Nerf Vader, don't do it. Buff him. He always deserves buff.
All right, my last two. So for my third pick, I'm gonna go with Kerrigan from Starcraft. Um, she just has a really cool story, and that I just really kind of fell in love with. Like, I'm not good at StarCraft by any measure, but I liked going through the campaign mode and playing all the different races and Kerrigan's story as I progressed through it in both the base game and Brood War was really really fun and really like tragic and at the same time just like it brought up a lot of emotion at the same time. So she is early in her life she was conscripted to the Terran Ghost program because she has like these cool psychic abilities. And then after going through all of her training, on one of her missions, she's abandoned after a battle with the Zerg, and instead of the Zerg killing her, they infest her, and she becomes this like really cool like human Zerg hybrid, and like goes through this like insane transformation. She like has these like skeletal wings that she uses to like kill people and rip them apart, and then her personality like drastically changes. Like she goes from this introverted, withdrawn, morally good person to being without any inhibitions, really aggressive and completely manipulative. Like she just has like this really tragic backstory all around, and like you feel for her because she went through her entire life being used by the Terran and manipulated by them to becoming infested, and it took being infested to finally get a grasp of her own identity. And then you see like these really like great moments between her and Jim Raynor, or even though she's infested, she can still have these touching moments with somebody that she from her past that she was really close with, and like her entire story is like really phenomenal. So that's gonna be my third. Kerrigan.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah. All right. And then for my last pick, I really didn't want to go into World of Warcraft at all, but for this particular person, like I have to, because he has such a good story. So I'm gonna go with Prince Arthas Menethil. You may know him better as the Lich King.
Ooh,
Oh, I
hoo,
thought it was
hoo.
monthly subscriptions.
Yeah, monthly subscriptions. Yeah, I really I hate the $15 a month boss.
Never get that back.
But
Never
Lich,
get it back.
that's a good pick though. Lich King's a good one.
Yeah, so his entire story is really cool. So he's the prince, the crown prince of Lordaeron. Like he's the next in line for the throne. And there's this scourge, like undead threat that's coming to Azeroth, and he wants to protect his people at all cost. He wants to do anything that he can to protect them. He wants to do anything that he can to destroy the scourge, but he kind of goes too far because he gets super zealous in his quest to do that. So he orders the purging of Stratholme, which Stratholme is just a very peaceful town, but a few people are infected with the plague, infected with the scourge. So he says, torch the whole freaking town, torch them all, kill them all.
Damn.
And it's just so out of character him that all of the paladins are with him, including Uther Lightbringer, which you might know him from Hearthstone. He's the actual paladin guy. Um, he's like, I'm not going to follow that order. Even if you were the king, which you're not, I would still not follow that order. So Arthas just takes it upon himself and wipes out the entire town by himself, top to bottom. So then after that, he goes on this journey to Northrend to find the cursed runeblade Frostmourne. And he needs to use that in order to kill Mal'Ganis. Mal'Ganis was the leader of the Scourge at the time. So he goes back to Lordaeron, heroes welcome with Frostmourne, and goes into the throne room and kneels before the king. And when you have Frostmourne, you're telepathically linked with the actual Lich King. And the Lich King tells Arthas through Frostmourne, you no longer need to bear the weight of your crown. And then Arthas just takes Frostmourne and stabs his own dad through the chest. Like, unprovoked, just does it. Right in the middle of Lordaeron.
Oh my god.
So then he takes Frostmourne and he goes back to Northrend and finds his way to the Frozen Throne, where the Lich King resides, and merges with him by putting on his armor and the Helm of Domination. And eventually, like, suppresses Ner'zhul and fully controls all the powers of the Lich King himself. Now, the other really cool thing is, like, through the entire Wrath of the Lich King expansion, as you're going through and leveling in each of the particular zones, the Lich King just pops up randomly and like beats you down to like almost zero HP, and then like how all these story modes, all these story triggers happen. So like you're just like going through the story and like you're doing things and you're questing, all of a sudden, boom, Lich King comes up, slaps you down with a sword, and then he starts yelling at you and telling you how worthless you are and that you'll never do anything. And it was just so satisfying to finally like beat the hell out of him when you got to the Frozen Throne at the top of Icecrown Citadel. Like it was just it's a cool story, great expansion, one of my favorite characters in World of Warcraft. So that's gonna be my last pick, the freaking Lich King.
And that raid was so much fun. ICC
It
25
was
man was so
so
much fun.
frustrating,
Oh yeah,
but so much fun.
it was one of my favorite raids. But
Stop standing in defile, you idiots!
yeah. Download deadly boss mods. You don't even have to know. It'll scream at you.
Take Joe's World of Warcraft 101 class.
Yeah, shut up and listen to me. That's
Or
all you need to
102.
do.
Sorry,
That's
102. I forgot.
oh, that's funny. All right, so for my last pick, I I'm gonna go with in the Joker and all of the Arkham Batman games. First off, it's the voice actor is Mark Hamill, and his voice acting for the
Ooh.
Joker is literally. I don't know if anybody's seen like the animated series, but Mark Hamill makes a fantastic Joker.
Yeah, it's the
Um,
best Joker,
so
hands down.
hands down, and so you leading with that, it's already gonna be great. But throughout the game, you just he's so creepy. He's infecting people. He's just terrorizing the town, and just I feel like everybody knows him. And for me, one of the more iconic moments is in the final game. You think the Joker is actually dead, and you're putting him in an incinerator. He's going to be cremated, and you're going through the process. You have to light the pilot light, and it's like, oh, press X. All right, press X again, and you have to you're like turning things, trying to light the pilot light, and right when it's about to, and as you're doing it, the room it's getting darker and darker, and right as the fire kicks on, the Joker jumps at you, like it's like a jump scare, and he's dead in that moment. But to me, it was iconic because he kind of gets the final laugh at you because he's like, oh, I'm dead, but I'm still gonna scare you, and yeah, he's just scary, so scary in every game. But yeah, that's my last pick, the Joker, every Arkham game.
Cool.
Right. And I'll finish this off. We all have that one game we've played way too much, and we all
20
have that
years.
one achievement that we never quite reached. And for Joe and I, we played a game called Batmud. Batmud is a MUD, which is a multi-user domain, is a text-based, essentially Dungeons and Dragons, where you have to type everything. You enter a room and it'll describe the room. You enter a room. There's snow on the ground. You see a tree, blah blah blah. The obvious exits are north, south, west, east, and Dennis. And we played the game for a long time, and you get parties together of 3 or 6 or 9 being the biggest party, and you would go kill monsters for their equipment. It's essentially the same difference as WoW, except the game is entirely text based. And so there was one monster that forever lived in the lore and the disappointment that I never got to kill, and I know neither has Joe. His name was Tiamat, the 9-headed, 12-headed, 48-headed dragon. Tiamat, I think, is a pretty known evil being, and in Batmud, he was cool because you got to think this was a text-based game that was created in the 90s, and how much can one do with text-based code and things like that? Well, there was a lot. He had such interesting mechanics. I mean, such different mechanics. For instance, one mechanic that's very, very frustrating, but also kind of interesting is you literally stop. Okay, I'm going to try that again. You stop playing your character and you start playing somebody else's character. For instance, I'll just snap and I'm playing Joe. And now Joe is playing Connor and Connor is playing my character. So you have to learn all the different classes that you have to play and know all their gear and know everything you need to do to play a tank, a healer, a blaster, a prodder, etc., etc., etc. And and then you would switch to a different player, and then you would switch to a different player, and then it had other things like it would ask you a trivia question about a person in your party. So it'd be like, how many times has such and such player reincarnated? And you just have to like there's so much you have to do in preparation for this party. It's absolutely insane, and it was just so cool. And this is one of those things like we played this game for like 20 something years, and when you play a game for that long, it's so much nostalgia to it. And like Joe was talking about, with it was just such an interest or such a beautiful experience, like killing the Lich King after all of that. I unfortunately never got the pleasure to kill Tiamat. We talk about how we're gonna do it.
We're never going to do it.
We're never gonna do it. It's just so hard, and it's one of those like how many raids, how many hours did you spend to kill Lich King for the first time? It's
On 25-man hard mode, I don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it. I don't.
and that's
I
and that's the
honestly don't
same
wanna talk
thing.
about it.
And that's the same thing with this game. Like the session you would need to kill him could be anywhere from 12 to 18, maybe 20 hours. Like we killed one monster, we killed Sarah, and it took us 14 hours. So
Oh my
things
gosh.
like that. Yeah, and you're sitting on your computer, no graphics.
Just
Just
reading,
typing.
just typing and
Words,
reading
typing, etc.
text.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes you're like playing a healer and you're just hitting F1 over and over again. So
yeah, and to go back to the player swap mechanic from that fight, and you have to make sure that when you're setting up and doing your preparation for the fight, that all of your commands for your spells are the same for everyone. That it's something that everyone would understand. Like if you're a healer and you need to cast Cure Serious Wounds, it better just be CSW person's name.
yeah,
And things like that. You have to make sure that all of your casts are in the most generic command that you could possibly make, so that if somebody gets swapped into you, they know how to cast their spells.
and
Oh,
yeah. So that is my fourth pick. Can I give a bonus for all three of us?
Sure,
absolutely.
I'd
why
like to
not?
give a bonus for all three of us. I think for all three of us, we would all agree that our worst villain when playing video games is ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah,
There are so many times when something will happen. I'll be playing a game and I'm just like, I'm trash. Why did I do that? And we'll just lose a fight and it's like, what happened? And it's like, well, I
very
missed
bad.
I missed 12,000 bullets and then it died. And then and that's how that went down. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm just trash. Like I'm never one of those players that like I'm never playing the blame game. I'm always just like, yeah, my bad, I'm
Yeah,
trash.
I'm trash. Yep.
And
Right.
I know all three of us are very self-degrading when it comes to like our own video game skills. We're just like,
Yep.
yeah, I suck at
Yeah,
this.
and
I'm doing my
most
best.
recently, like with all the RPGs that I've been playing lately, like I will sit there and like ponder a move for like 10 minutes, and then I'll make a move, and then I'm like, that was dumb. Why did I do that?
Why did I
That
do
was dumb.
that?
I sat here for 10 minutes to make that move. Come on, man.
Mine would be like when I'm playing like a healer on like Overwatch, and like I always played Mercy back in the day, and I would be like not paying attention and start to fall off the map,
Oh,
and I couldn't fly back to somebody, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, we're gonna lose that team fight, guys. Why? What happened, Mercy? Oh, I just wanted to jump off the
I
map.
died.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I just wanted to yeet myself out of here real quick. My bad.
in like Escape from
Honestly,
Tarkov. Like so many times, I'll just be running, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm falling off a rock. Oh, I broke everything.
yeah, I've definitely playing Overwatch have dashed off the edge with
Oh yeah.
Tracer more
Oh
times than
yeah,
I want to admit.
when your
And then I
rewind is
press
on
the E
cooldown.
button. Yeah, and then I rewind and I get back, but then I dash off again, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I doing?
So
Right.
I think that'll be an overlying theme. We
Yep.
Yeah,
are our own worst enemy.
Agreed.
yes, we are,
Agreed.
and I'm definitely my own biggest critic for sure.
Yup. Couldn't
All
agree
right,
more.
well, we did it, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one in
Another
the books.
episode in the books. That's right. So we will be back next week with another amazing question. Jesse, what are we going to be talking about?
All right. So this one I've decided on a very fun one. This one's going to be a rough one because there's a lot we could choose from and a lot that's personal to us. I changed it up a little bit. So next week I want to do video games that we want a sequel of. And
Ooh.
there's a caveat on this. The caveat is the sequel's going to be good.
Okay, so
Because we know if a sequel comes out of some game like Duke Nukem, for instance, it's probably going to be terrible.
That's true.
So caveat: games that we want a sequel of.
I have a few questions for you when we're done with this, but I really like the questions. I think it's going
All
to be
right,
great.
That's gonna be a good one.
sounds good.
All right. Before we take off, what are you guys playing this week?
This week I'm gonna be playing, well, probably more Pokemon, and then I'm gonna playing some Escape from Tarkov because the wipe just happened, and I stole Connor's account, and I'm just dying a lot, so that's fun.
That is
Nice.
true. I might be sitting down and because like my PC took is getting surgery right now. She's not with me right now, so I might be finally getting around to playing The Last of Us because I have Jesse's PlayStation and Last of Us, so now I have nothing to play. I might as well play
I'm
that.
I'm such a good gamer friend that I just let him borrow my old PS3 because I'm like, you should play this.
Yeah, you have to
Can
play
we
that.
can we also
It's a
talk for a
must play.
second about the hilariousness of this, Connor? Because I'm trying to talk to him about computer things. He's like, I have no idea. I'm like, well, what happens when you built it? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. What happens if you have to replace such and such? He's like, nah, I have no idea. I'm like, oh, all right,
Yep, no idea.
awesome.
I'm a software guy, not a hardware guy. Hardware's too difficult. Software,
If you need Connor to install Google Chrome on your computer, he's got you.
He got you, yeah.
well, even like I don't know, like editing programs, things like that. I can figure out how to do that stuff like pretty easy. But
It
hardware,
just made
nah,
me laugh because I'm trying to like run through kind of what could have happened in his computer, and he's just like, I don't know,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, I don't know.
Yep. Well, was it this? Did you see this? I don't know. It came up with a screen that said this doesn't work anymore. And
Like,
so
awesome.
then,
Is it a hard drive related? Where's the hard drive? What's that look like? Does
you,
it smell?
you know, and that's difficult. I have no sense of smell, so
It is
you gotta.
tough. You have no idea when Dwayne the Rock Johnson is gonna
It's
sneak
cooking,
up on you.
right? He could
Yeah,
just
yeah.
creep up
You
on me.
never find out what he's cooking.
All
Never.
right, Joe, what are you playing this week?
So, uh, so for Christmas, my wife picked me up two of the Disgaea games, 3 and 4 for the PS3. I've been meaning to play the Disgaea series for a while. It's a couple RPGs that are in my wheelhouse that I've just kind of avoided for whatever reason, and it's super fun so far. Like I'm really enjoying. I'm on like chapter 3 of Disgaea 3, and it's very animu weeaboo, but it's
Oh,
really
wow.
fun.
I
So
like that description.
I'm enjoying it.
All right, Joe, I have one more question before we go.
Okay, what do you got?
how could somebody maybe get a hold of us if they have a question or something they wanted to talk to us about?
Oh, if you want to get a hold of us, make sure to email us. That's the best way to get a hold of us. So that email for everyone out there is I might need this later, agp@gmail.com. If you just email us about anything you want, um, answer the question of the week that we had, answer the draft question, answer next week's draft question. If you have a really good answer, we'll read it on the air for you. So just, contact us. We're friendly
There
people. We'll
is
respond.
there any other way for people to contact us?
Yeah, we have Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at I Might Need This Later AGP. On Twitter, we are IMNTL_podcast. And we're pretty active on all three of those, so you'll see us on there. Give us a follow, and we'll follow back. We do that kind of thing. We're friendly.
Awesome.
We're here for you.
Yeah. All right. So we're out of here. So for
Yeah.
Jesse and Connor, my name's Joe, and thanks for hanging out with us this week. See you later.
Bye.
I love you guys.